Welcome back to Black Cat Crypto Club. My name is Drake. Now, I just saw this interview with Michael Saylor that was just posted a few days ago, and it's from Peter Diamandis, and I love this guy's interviews. He's very smart. He always does really good interviews with all of his guests. He's not specifically a crypto guy, but he does do several cryptocurrency figures. The other one I saw with him was with Kathy Wood, but he just always has really good in interviews and information that he gets out. So I wanted to jump over to this interview because the things that Michael Saylor says in this interview, not only does he get into his entire history with Bitcoin, but the process of what he had to go through to take a publicly traded company and get into what they are now today, and it basically just moving to be a Bitcoin company. And he talks a lot about, he hits on several points that I've stressed kind of over and over as a way to help you guys, my viewers, in your Bitcoin journey. And just, several points that he brings up, I was like, oh man, I've been stressing all of these things. So I wanted to show you guys this. I think you'll find it interesting. But before we do that, as always, guys, if you have a few dollars, please consider going over to Easy's Rescue Ranch and helping out these animals that are in need. PayPal's at the bottom of this flyer here, and I always leave that in the description as well. Guys, this is a no-lose situation. It goes so far for these small sanctuaries. Any little bit that you can actually, donate to them just goes so far for a small sanctuary like that. And it helps you guys out. It lowers your tax liability. It brings some light into your day, makes you feel good about something you've done today. So just consider going over and donating what you can to them. It's always appreciated on my end. But also, guys, before we jump over to this clip, if you guys are liking the videos that I'm doing, I don't always stress that you like and share and subscribe to my videos. It's not terribly important to me, to be honest, but I do want to help as many people as I can with the knowledge that I have. So I've been told that, getting people, stressing that you please like my video is going to help me defeat the YouTube algorithm, and I'll be able to help more people if you guys do that. So if you guys can just hit that like button, it helps me to help other people. So if you can, just go hit that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of the important videos that I'm coming out with that are really kind of time sensitive. And yeah, it'll just help me out, help my channel out. So please do that. Now I'm going to just jump over here and we are just going to get right into this interview. So listen into this.
Been quite the journey.
Yeah, and I thought I was just going to retire into obscurity in 2020. And then COVID hit, the world turned upside down, everything stopped, and Bitcoin presented itself. And
what I find fascinating, a lot of people don't know this, is you discovered Bitcoin not in 2010 or 2014 or 2018, but as a result of COVID. Remember being with you in Miami, you're telling the story, I'm going, that's incredible.
Yeah, I heard about it back 8-9 years earlier. I think I tweeted very famously in 2013 that it was interesting, but I thought it would go the way of online gambling and get banned. And then I forgot that I tweeted that. And then in August of 2020, I tweeted that I bought $250 million of it. And at that time, it didn't occur to me that I was the first person to publicly announce that I'd spent that much money. Then, you know, on my Twitter, or my X account now, I have this phrase, you know, Bitcoin is a swarm of cyber hornets. And the cyber hornets were all the people on the internet, like the person that made that video. That was not me. I did not make that video.
I know, of course not.
Like, but they're always doing that. And so one of the hornets scanned every single thing I tweeted in my entire life, and they dredged this up. They're like, ha, 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 you know, look how much money you lost. You could have bought it $100 or something. And I just kind of recycled the Bitcoin trope, which is, I said, everybody gets Bitcoin, the price they deserve.
That's true. You know, speaking about the ups and downs and so forth, you have extraordinary tolerance for risk and resiliency, I think is the right word. I drudged this up. On the left is an article from 2000, lost $6 billion in a day. And then on the right is actually February, that's the wrong date, 2024, not 2000, where you made $700 million in a day. How do you sleep at night with that kind of fluctuation?
You just got to have a mission, right? Yeah, you got to have a mission in your life. So you can't really control the fluctuations in the market. You can control your reactions to them. So in this particular case, my view on Bitcoin is the reason to do it is because it represents freedom and sovereignty, truth, integrity, and hope for the world. And that being the case, it's going to outlast all of us. So, you know, I'm kind of thinking the Bitcoin goes on long after MicroStrategy's gone, and MicroStrategy, the company, probably goes on long after I'm gone. And, you know, my view is if we're remembered for advocating and accelerating the adoption of Bitcoin throughout the world, then that will have been success, and I don't really need anything else.
It's amazing.
And
you know,
I'll take the beatings as they come or go in order to get to that end goal, because I'm sure it doesn't come without turbulence.
But the conviction that you've had that's guided you consistently, right? Does that go to like first principle thinking of physics here? Of like this is just not going to go down, this is going to go up, there's only going to be so many and so forth. And is that first principle thinking that led you to make this commitment in the face of everybody else questioning it?
You know, I think one of the great things about MIT is that it teaches you to think, and also it teaches you to start from first principles. And the combination of that and aeronautical engineering, where you have to literally, you have to build a machine that will fly through the air or through space by combining, you know, all manner of engineering. I think that makes you confident. My first memory of MIT was the materials engineering professor. He walks out and he says, here's a tile that just burned off the space shuttle, and NASA doesn't know why it burned off, and we don't know how to fix it. What do you think? And it was 18-year-old kids, and we're all 500 of us, we're sitting in a room, and a guy who's a consultant for NASA looks at us and he says, you know, NASA doesn't know the solution, but what is the solution? Everybody looks at each other, and you can see, first we're all like, well, did I miss the reading? Like, like, was this in a reading? And then you're like, and then you have this dawning, horrifying observation that the answer to this question is not in any book written in the history of the world. And the guy that had NASA with the original problem sent it to a professor who knows more than you know, who's telling you he doesn't know the answer, but he's asking you. And so first you're thinking, I didn't read the reading. And then second, you're like scared. And then some kid in the front row raises his hand and says, well, have you thought about changing, the lamination on the composites? And everybody else looks and they're like, the professor's going to call the kid an idiot, right? And we're all afraid. And he goes, no, that's a good idea. That's what I thought too. And we tried that, but that didn't work. And then we all go. And then the next kid, raises the hand. And then you think, I guess they actually expect us to think for ourselves. And that was how MIT started. And it just continued along that line. And so, if anything, when I left MIT, my thought was, you have to work excessively hard. Don't be afraid of hard work, but you can solve the problem.
Okay, so a couple things there. First of all, Diamandis asks him, or kind of reminds him or brings up the fact that Michael Saylor has only been in this for 4 years now, and he's taken a nothing company, a complete garbage, dying company, and made a complete success out of it, and by doing nothing other than holding Bitcoin. And a lot of people, like Peter was saying, a lot of people that think you have to be successful in Bitcoin is you have to have been very early into it. Like I've been in it since 2012. It's not the case that you don't have to have gotten in on the very first innings of Bitcoin to be successful with this. And Michael Saylor kind of gets into that. Well, everybody gets into Bitcoin for the price they deserve. And I'm not sure I completely buy into the logic of that, but it is a saying that makes me feel good, not because I got in early, but I have been literally pounding my fists on tables since at least 2014, and trying to get the people that I care about most to understand the value proposition and why Bitcoin is so important. I've been pounding my fists on tables, and a lot of the times I'm fairly dismissed as probably dismissed in their minds. They're probably going, Drake's insane. He's lost his mind. And it's I understand where they're coming from, the people that I've tried to talk with about Bitcoin, and I get that. I understand that something that sounds too good to be true is, oftentimes in this world, it is always too good to be true. With Bitcoin, it truly is something we've never seen. And, I don't know if everybody gets into Bitcoin for the price they deserve, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. It doesn't matter when you get into Bitcoin. You don't have to have been into the very early innings of Bitcoin to be successful with it. And it doesn't matter if you don't ever buy it before it becomes mainstream. If Bitcoin ever gets to the mainstream where we're just using it, everybody uses it, it's being used as a currency, and we're on a Bitcoin standard. We're no longer on a fiat currency standard in dollars or yen or whatever. If we're on a Bitcoin currency standard and it's widely adopted, it doesn't matter if you got into it and improved your wealth situation beforehand, before that happens. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, guys, this technology takes power away from major powerhouses, banks, and major powerful middlemen, and it takes that power away from them and gives it back to everyone. So it honestly doesn't matter when you get into Bitcoin. If you get in now before it's widely adopted, and especially before it's adopted by banks and big money and institutions, you're going to do well by getting in before then. But ultimately, it really doesn't matter. It's going to help everyone. Bitcoin is for everyone. As much as we don't want it to be, there's some real, I won't say that, unkind names, but there's some real characters in Bitcoin. And it's kind of gross. It's disgusting to see and hear these people in Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is for everyone. It doesn't matter if I like the person or not. Bitcoin is for all of us, and it's going to benefit all of us. So he got into that. He also, they hit upon the fact that in Michael Saylor's Bitcoin time, he, after that 2022 during 2022, when Bitcoin collapsed from 69,000 down to 15,000 over that year, everybody in traditional finance was hammering on MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. And I was actually worried myself because they had taken out loans and they'd bought in Bitcoin. And I was afraid they were going to get margin called and have to go under. Michael Saylor, fortunately, I think he had the foresight to get into loans that had a longer lifespan. So he wasn't called in on those margins and survived. And now I don't think he'll ever see those darkest days like he did his first bear market. But, he got into the wild swings of it. He lost so much this day, gained so much this next day. And Peter asks him, how do you sleep at night? How do you manage your emotions? And Michael Saylor kind of goes back to that point I have been stressing on this channel. And that is, you have to have a plan. You have to have a mission. And you need to stick to it, guys. You need to stick to that plan. You can't let your emotions, because there are going to be days and weeks when you're going to question yourself. You're going to doubt. But if you have a plan in place, you're going to be able to manage those emotions a little bit better. My plan with Bitcoin, I've always believed in the ideal of Bitcoin, the freedom, the hope that Bitcoin affords the world. So I've believed in it since day one, since I learned about Bitcoin. But when I started looking at like the price value of Bitcoin, my plan, was always along the lines of buying my time back. And specifically, going back to 2017, I had a lot of money in Bitcoin during that bull run. And I was thinking, man, do I cash out? And ultimately, I came to the conclusion that why would I cash out right now? I can't buy my house outright yet. And until I can do that and buy my time back, and where I don't have to work a full-time job at least to pay for my living expenses, maybe I can work part-time, or, it was always a way that I could I had quality of life improvements. I had to have that quality of life improvement, and I had to be able to buy my time back and be able to do more of the things that I want to do with my time. So that was always my core plan with Bitcoin. But that doesn't have to necessarily be your plan. Just have a plan. and stick to it. If your plan is to invest for 4 years, like I've stressed that 4-year thing, if you want to do that and make that your plan, awesome. That's a great plan. If it's the 8-year plan, or if it's you want to hit a certain number, great. Just have a plan, because these dips and rises will wring your guts. And it still does with mine. Like, it still wrings my guts. And you won't last if you don't have a plan. So I can't stress that enough, guys. But it's interesting to see him say that was a core thing for him as well. And also, he goes into MIT and what he learned at MIT. And ultimately, that was, these guys want me to think for myself. And that was the point of my video just a few days ago, was, guys, you really need to think critically about all the information that you're seeing. When you see headlines like yesterday with Coinbase losing to the SEC, they didn't lose to the SEC. It's just they didn't get their motion to dismiss. You've got to think critically, guys. Everything you see about Bitcoin, there's just a lot of negative. There's a lot of fear and doubt being spread. And mainstream media just thrives on clicks. So when you read the headlines, if you don't get into it and you don't think critically and make your own opinions, you see that headline and it plays your emotions. And if you don't have a plan, and if you're not thinking critically for yourself, you're going to make bad decisions. So with that said, I want to get into one last clip over with this interview again. So let's go back over to this.
This insight about, digital currency, digital property, how long did it take you from studying this idea to making the decision to buy 250 million worth of Bitcoin?
I started thinking about it, I guess, late March, April. It took about 8 weeks before 4 to 8 weeks of constant thinking before I came to the conclusion it was a good idea. And it was probably, for me to make the decision, I had made the decision personally by late May. I bought $175 million of Bitcoin in late May of 2020.
Personally?
Personally, but that was just me negotiating with myself. And I guess I started probably late March, early April. So that's 6 weeks to get there. And then we have a public company. So for a public company to do something, the officers have to buy in, the outside directors have to buy in, the accountants, the lawyers have to buy in.
So I want to take us there, right? So one of your board
longer.
members, one of your outside board members, great guy, Rick, is here with us today. I won't call him out. But you walk in. What was the process of getting a public board to do this?
Well, in that case, I actually pull the 3 most compelling videos on Bitcoin off of YouTube. An Andreas Antonopoulos overview of Bitcoin, a debate by Eric Voorhees and Peter Schiff over Bitcoin versus fiat currency as money, probably some other background on Bitcoin. I put those 3 together. There's probably 3 hours of watching. I included some articles, some short articles, maybe by some of the Bitcoin OGs. I sent the package off to each board member. I said, I got some homework for you. It's probably going to take 3 to 5 hours for you to read through all this. Read through all of it, and then I want to meet with you. And then I set up one-on-ones with each one of them. And so I met with each one individually. I answered their questions. Then after that, we had a group meeting. Then after that, we broke into committees to study different aspects, the accounting, the disclosures, the whatever. And so it was a group process. And of course, the CFO and the general counsel at the time were also heavily involved in that.
Did they threaten to resign?
No.
Okay.
It was never a question of do it or don't do it. It was an observation that the world had come to a grinding halt. We had $500 million yielding 0% interest. We were our stock had hit $90 a share. The enterprise value of the company was about $60 a share. $60 a share, you know where the stock is right now. And we had been competing with Microsoft for about a decade. And for all of those of you who compete with Microsoft, you have an idea of what that's like. They have every company on earth as their customer, and they can bundle your product into their whatever. So it's not easy competing against Microsoft. We had experience. And we were under pressure from our shareholders. You know, it's like you have half of the market cap of the company is cash. You're earning 0% interest. You're not beating the cost of capital. The cost of capital is the S&P return. So anybody looks at it says, if you're not getting 8, 9, 10% on the capital, you should give it back to us so we can invest it. And so we'd reached a point where the company was looking at a fast death. We just sell the company and call it a day. Or a slow death. We keep the cash and the stock is dead money, and that means the stock options are dead money. And that was the time when it used to be employees work for you because they liked the community and the schools and their home, and maybe they were loyal to you because they saw you every day in the office. But think about what happened in the second quarter of 2020 when nobody came to the office and they could change jobs and go work for Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, or Google without moving. All you do is just repath your Zoom account. And so all of a sudden, you're staring at big tech, you know, the big tech companies more powerful than most countries and getting more powerful. And you've lost the human connection. They don't have to move to San Francisco. They can simply take a job. And nobody ever got hired by big tech for less money than they're making working for you. So from our point of view,
you were on the precipice of a serious.
It's like sell the company or just watch all your employees dwindle. You're going to get boiled off, and after the good employees leave, you know, the product will gradually deteriorate. You know, and you're competing against a digital monopoly that has more power than all but 4 countries on earth. And so we either do that, or we take a risk. And so we were basically at a point where maybe we should take a risk. Now, having said all that, what really happened there is we deliberated. It took a long time to deliberate, a lot of education. And at the end of the day, we ended up announcing that we were going to do a Dutch auction and buy back $250 million of the stock at a premium coincidental with the purchase of the Bitcoin. So we didn't just take that risk. We basically said, we're going to take the company on a path you may not agree with, but we'll buy you out. And so we were prepared to give up half. I had to basically pay $250 million for the right to buy $250 million of Bitcoin in August of 2020, right? That's the price we paid. That Dutch auction, the stock was about 121, 122. We offered to buy all our shareholders out at 140. We gave them 20 days to think about it. We bought the Bitcoin. No company had ever bought that much Bitcoin. And by the way, you know, following that, only Block and Tesla did it afterwards, but it was a very rare thing to do. Of course, Bitcoin cooperated by immediately trading down. We bought it at 11,800 and it traded down to 9,800 or something. So I was looking like a genius again. Buying the top. The Dutch auction ran, but the stock traded above the 140 price after a day or two. Everyone that didn't like the idea just traded out at above 140. We had $75 million tendered. We bought those shares at 140. We had $175 million left, and we bought Bitcoin with that. And so we had basically transformed ourselves into a company with Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset through that capital markets activity. you know, and it was in a partnership with the outside investors. When you're a public company, you don't just do it. You have to transparently telegraph
I just find it incredible, I think the Greek word is the cojones. But to take, no, it's the action of a leader who's willing to take a big risk that put the company on its trajectory. Because it's so easy to ride a company to the ground. It's so easy just to do what everybody expected you to do. I'm curious, how many folks here in the room own Bitcoin? Raise your hand high. Okay, so.
Okay, so you can really see that, like, I mean, he was riding a dead company, and you know, he talks about his stock going from like a valuation of $60, and today this week it hit that $2,000 mark. Today it's trading at about 1,700, above 1,700. But guys, that is, in 4 years, that is a 2,000% gain for a traditional Wall Street company. That's almost unheard of. You know, you get into a stock bond mix, and a good return every year is 7%. So, and they did nothing. They lost employees. They did nothing but buy Bitcoin, and they had the conviction to do it. So, you know, it just kind of goes to show, and guys, we are still early. You heard him talk about how even MicroStrategy, I think they moved quickly because Michael Saylor knew they were dying and had the conviction to take that risk. And I think they moved faster than most institutions can and will. But it still, he walked us through that process of going through. You know, I had to pitch all of this to all the board members. Then they had to do all their research. Then we got together and we had a board meeting about it. And then we broke into groups and did our own little side group research. And you can just see how that takes like so much time for these institutions to buy. And they've only, I mean, some of them don't even have the chance to buy yet because the major wirehouses have not turned on for these ETFs that are approved. So some of them still don't have the options to buy. But the ones that, I mean, even if they did have that option to buy, it's only been 2 months since these ETFs were approved. So guys, a wave is coming. A wave of institutional and big money is coming. And just, you know, in that previous video I did with Larry Fink, he kind of let it slip that the people who are buying these ETFs is still mainly retail. So a wave is coming, guys. So get into Bitcoin, not financial advice. But seriously, it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. So the ups and the downs are going to be, it's going to be insane. And like I've said, I think I've said this before on here, but a lot of people that have been in crypto say that the bull markets are more stressful than the bear markets. And it's, in my opinion, 100% true. These bull markets are, they will wring your guts. Like you'll always be doubting yourself, you know, when we do have those days or those weeks where we drop 20%, and you'll be second guessing sometimes. So have that plan, have that mission, and don't let your emotions play into it, guys, and you'll be rewarded for it. So again, guys, if you like my videos, please help me out. Hit that like, subscribe, and that bell notification. If there's anybody that you think can take this information and it can help them, please share this around as much as you want. Again, like I said in the beginning of this video, I want to help people. I want to help the most people I can with the information that I have. So like, subscribe, and share with anybody that you want to help out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.